Good evening, ladies and gentlefolk. Welcome back to another episode. Probably the final episode of Rayman the First. On the last episode, we cleared Mr. Scott's stalactites in a very seemingly anticlimatic battle, but still one that proved interesting. But let's all be honest, it was quite underwhelming. It was a very interesting setup though, and the first screen, was very beautiful, very stunning, kind of closuring moment for the sentiments and the experiences you've had on the journey thus far. Now we are reaching the Candy Chateau at Mr. Dark's Dare. The single level in this place with a neat little backdrop you have there. This proves to be quite the interesting setup. Oh yeah, also another unique thing. I forgot to jump. That's what I accomplished today. So another neat setup. Works very. This is tanking my frame rate to the highest degree, which is a bad thing. I supposedly aim to say. All right, that worked out. That worked out somehow. There might be some tactic for this to be more speedy and efficient. But man, so yeah, I think there were supposed to have been more stages, but they ran short of development time, and that's just the way things are. Okay, so moment of respite. Interesting setup, interesting music, all that shit. And this is just, it's just neat. Mr. Dark comes, and he does this. This fucking little dude. The Dark Rayman, anti-Rayman, nigga Rayman, mimics every single move you'd ever hope to make, and he does it with perfect precision. Even if you have some really fast tactics that make you speed. Oh, these slippery mechanics will prove to be quite the challenge. There are a lot of set pieces on this version of the game, however, not all, and that's where things really turn out to be interesting, because in other sections, that was also the Candy Chateau beat, I believe it is supposed to be called. Is there anything there? I don't know, man, I'm just gonna avoid that. So yeah, a lot of set pieces that were not used in this version, actually only used in the Atari Jaguar version, of all versions. I mean, yeah, I know, right? It's quite... It's interesting, to say the least. I will perhaps be showing some pictures as I talk about it right here. Oh yeah, some of these clouds are also quite difficult to jump off of, because they require kind of perfect precisioning of the clouds, because they bounce up and down, as you can see. As you can hope to see, to tell. Let's go. Oh, that feels good, right? That feels, without even running, you can still get this motion. Did I just bonk myself? I think I just might have. Oh, that was neat. Otherwise, I might have been a dead little fella. So now you gotta do some interesting maneuvering, because you have to reach this place. Otherwise, it would not spawn. This will stump many a people, and he is defeated. Cherries on top. Ha! Get it. Alright, now this is going to be extremely obnoxious. This music is not really my favorite. This backdrop is certainly not my favorite either. And this mechanic is definitely not, to say the least. I'm moving backwards right now. That's what I'm gonna do. So that's the thing. Right now, right? You're gonna get the fist. Oh, that was not a wise idea, perhaps. Do they actually die, or is it just... I don't know. Oh man, that threw me off. That threw me way off. Alright. Okay. Gotta get used to this business. At least he doesn't fly around. It's kind of random if they do or don't. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. Alright, he gone. I think he's the enemy which has the highest amount of HP in the entire game, these big clowns. It was like 8 or something, but with a golden fist, it's already double damage, and when you jump, it's also double damage, so it only requires 2 hits to actually beat this guy down, but with weakness, alright, might be only 6 actually. Might be speaking in wrong terms. Interesting. Also, that background SFX is... What? Where did that come from? Was that the background SFX, or am I missing something? I've never heard that before. That was terribly unnerving, but just the whole sentiment of listening to these people laugh in the background while you are running for your life from this evil specter that is your Nega self. It's quite terrifying, really, and it works very well. Why is all of this, you know, ultimately why is all of this necessary? I think it's just one big trolling mechanism, because you can just, yeah, okay. Yeah, you can just skip it all by just running to the edge. But anyways, it's supposed to throw you off when you don't actually know what in the hell you're freaking doing. Oh man, this is not nice. Alright, this is not nice. It's just like Allegro Presto. Freaking flashbacks to time of devious nature. We got this. Okay.
Hello!
Post-production here. I have no real inkling as to what just happened in the previous footage. Also, the boss was a huge mess to record. Everything went wrong. So I'm just gonna do it here from now on. So just witness the pure perfection that was that section. That was speedily fast with sonic precision. Alright. And now Mr. Dark has come to curse us again, so we can only run. I'm not even doing anything at this point. He's just running at his own. I think that was also the fastest speed you could attain in this game. Just a slope section that you witnessed before. I believe something like that. It's also missed a bunch of lives and health points, power-ups right there, but I will be back to pick them up. Right now I'm pondering the life choices I've made, thinking if this footage also works as intended. And now we are entering the lair of Mr. Dark, the final boss of the game. What a beautiful set piece this is. Also, the whole thing with him pulling up the rope and you're supposed to get this is like, I wouldn't exactly call it a plot point, right? But it's pretty neat that for once you're back to square one, where you're unable to punch, which was the very first power that you got in the game, and now you have to attain it back. Also, the whole backdrop is very reminiscent of Croc, actually, with the final boss you fight against Dante, I believe is his name, which also takes place in this huge round kind of hall with mosaic glass pieces. And all of these represents the bosses that you fought during the timeline of the game. Also, this is pretty hard to avoid actually. I'm doing that's a decent job. You also take damage from falling into the fury kind of pillars, even if you have orders, so invisibility frames don't work, is what I'm trying to say, I think. But anyhow, we got it. This crooked message was no more, and they flash, and a weird amalgamation of bosses appears. This is the whole shtick of this whole fight. This is what you're going to be fighting. Because, yeah. Well, you'll see what I mean by that. What a fight of epic proportions this whole thing turns into being. Oh my lord. So you're actually supposed to be able to get 3 hits in on it. That is also repeating myself, speedrun tactic, but I'm not able to accomplish that just there. You can also stun knock those fairy creatures, an automation of Mosquito and Space Monk, into oblivion. But yeah, I'm actually doing it. Right there. There we go. Beautiful thing. Also, I forgot to mention I have 34 lives because I had to activate password for fighting this, for doing this level again. Because if you already have cleared it and go back, you can't actually go back to it because Mr. Dark is gone. I believe that's the reason. Which is interesting. But anyhow, what an absolute. I don't even know what to call this. It's just comical, but in a kind of a neat way. The only relation to Mr. Sax is that noise. And there we go. That's it. That's it.
You've done it. You've saved the world.
Oh. That's like the Sega Saturn version, actually, with the credits, because normally it's just a still screen, but now it's doing the whole things. Yeah. So that was Rayman 1 for the PS1, the origins of Rayman, the first one. One of the weirdest experiences you probably can have for a platforming 2D game. But it's very telling of the era, I would say. It's very... tried a lot of different things, and some things stuck, and some things really didn't. But I still can't help but feel that the game as a general whole... I mean, I might be in the minority when I say this, but I feel like it's very... still consistent. Even though it is complete and utter nonsense at some points, because it is. I will blatantly admit that with all my heart and soul. But it still manages to be somewhat consistent with its platforming elements and with the way you actually played and the way it kind of unfolds on itself. I saw a review of it which mentioned that the first couple of levels in Pinkpine Woods were very elegantly structured in a way that they slowly introduced new mechanics and made you see things that you could return back to once you had that power and once you were better. And the future sections kind of didn't do that. But still, it's just interesting to view that there are still a lot of mechanics that are also introduced in later levels, and they were just there for this one instance, and that's it. And these... Lo and behold, my dear pals, guess what happened again? It turned off. The rest of the recording didn't work. So what I think I was trying to come with there, I digress, is that these kind of different aspects to this game, these different mechanics, had a very neat place exactly where they were. And also these small little plot points that were there. They were kind of silly, of course, and very, you know, juvenile, trivial, perhaps nonsensical, where you had to rescue this hippie Rayman guy's guitar from the rock, and you got the super helicopter power. You also got the seed from the terrain by punching its rags from a jungle vine, stuff like that, and also the whole shtick with Eat at Joe's, which was kind of a well put out level when it came to it. I kind of left some annotations, not annotations because they don't exist anymore in this YouTube landscape, but I left some own comments on that exact phenomenon when you actually went through the level, and it was neatly put together. The way they had to actually return to previous parts and then go back to his place, Eat at Joe's place, the first place you are in the level, and then you clear the rest of that. Very neatly put together, and I feel like but that's also one of the exceptions when it comes to it in this game, because a lot of things are not neatly put together. A lot of things are random, a lot of things don't make any sense, a lot of things are... yeah, like that. It's just... I mean... but that has a charm to it as well. A certain interesting and intriguing charm that... it's hard to explain, because it's like these kind of more ancient games that had a lot of different random aspects to them and were very weird. I mean, this game is obviously extremely weird, and that also kind of gives it a plus, gives it some charm. And not just weird in the things that are occurring and the general aesthetic to it, but also with how exactly how the levels unfold and how the mechanics are and the different question, and sometimes there is not a single quest in quotation marks in sight. It's all of these things that leaves it a neat experience. I've never actually played another Rayman game. I might consider doing it, because I know obviously that the second and third are very different. Like extremely different from this. They're more like Donkey Kong Country-esque, kind of Banjo-Kazooie-esque, I've been told, or at least what I can view upon them and look. And then obviously there are the Rayman Origins and Legends, which went back to this aesthetic and this whole way of how the game unfolds. It was very neat also, but not quite the same. And especially not aesthetically. This game also still graphically holds up so super duper well. It has not aged in the slightest, to my mind, to my opinion. It is so well looking, and that really speaks to it, that it is so nice. So the rest of the footage is cut off, because it seems like the original time I did this, that exact portion is where I stopped recording, because I had nothing more to say. But I do right now. The graphical portion, the musical portion, obviously, I'm gonna make a video about that. The whole way it incorporates different genres and tunes and sound effects and all that. Ambience, very neat stuff. Very neat game. This has a special place in my heart. I don't know if that's founded. I hope I have tried to convince you in a somewhat kind of convincing manner. Or not convincing, but just laying my words, my thoughts out there, why this game is good, and very intriguing, very interesting, is entertaining also. So that'll do for me. Thank you so much for watching this series and for getting a nostalgic trip through memory lane with me, as I did. It was very nice. I thank you, and I will see you in the next adventure. There is no turning back, no hope, except there is. And the answer is lag.